A dungeon crawling action RPG with roguelite elements and twin stick controls with similarities to Enter the Gungeon and The Binding of Isaac sounds great, and it's certainly an ambitious project from the small indie developer Behemoth. Unfortunately, right now there is a major issue on the Switch port that I experienced twice that is game breaking. Hopefully the developer does get this fixed, but at this moment in time I need to tell you up front not to buy this game. The issue I experienced is that the game crashes midway through a dungeon. On reopening the game, my save data was lost with no way to recover it, meaning you would need to start from the beginning of the game. I'm James Amero and this is SwitchWatch, and with that out of the way, let's talk about the game. If we do hear about an update, I will pin a comment down below to let you know if this has been resolved. Let's jump in. I love the concept. Humans are weak in this bleak world and monsters use energy known as mana to dominate the land, raiding and pillaging small human villages. One day, enough is enough and you set about taking the fight to the enemy. You aim to gather humans and band together in a stronghold and delve deep into the monster's homeland in order to crush them and set humanity free from its shackles. The story takes a back seat. As you get further, you unlock a further 2 playable characters and see a small amount of story as you progress, but it's clear that the real focus of this game is in the gameplay. On your quest to defeat the many foes of humanity, you take on the role of a bow-wielding hunter called Ellis, who shoots arrows using the right stick. Moving it in a direction points a reticle and fires your arrow in that way. The left stick is used to move around, and like any good twin stick shooter, is difficult until you get the hang of it and get stronger. The game uses a top-down view and you progress through floors, wiping out all enemies before delving deeper. These floors are randomized in layout and mob spawning, so you will face a slightly different challenge on each run. The game has been compared to Dark Souls due to its difficulty and use of a camp to upgrade your character, and for me, the similarity ends about there. There are 2 currencies in game: runes, which are imbued with the power of mana and can be exchanged back at your base for permanent upgrades, new skills, weakening mobs, and food, which provides passive bonuses. This is the game's primary resource, and it's also used to gather more followers to your camp, who in turn open up these places in which you can get the upgrades. As you progress through a dungeon, you will come to a peculiar room. In these rooms, you will send back any runes to your settlement. When you inevitably do die, you do lose all runes, so sending them back via the peculiar room is the main way to slowly gather resources and get stronger. The other main resource is gold coins. These are exchanged for upgrades and last for your current run, though you will sometimes get the chance to unlock a new skill permanently for gold, allowing you to spend runes to learn that skill indefinitely. The game's unlockables, discoverable items and upgrades are what keeps you entertained. You will find that you are a bit too weak at first to get very far, and it's the promise of getting runes and upgrading your character permanently that keeps you going back. When you throw in the randomness and temporary upgrades, it really is an addictive mix, and the controls are solid. Sadly, as well as the current major bug issue, load times are particularly slow. Each time you go down a floor, I felt like I had enough time to make a cup of tea, and for a game where you die a lot and start back at camp, that is annoying. One of the things I thought that was very creative in the game is how certain mobs work together to take you down. For example, a little bow-wielding foe might jump on the back of a wolf's back and start shooting you whilst it's on the move. It's a nice touch, and though there are a few small bugs, these were not bad enough to take away from the overall enjoyment. If you manage to get past the first boss and get further, you do unlock 2 more characters with their own skills, playstyles, and one of them is a sword and shield wielding warrior, and the other is a heavy bow user that cannot shoot whilst on the move but does more damage. The 3 different characters do play rather differently, and if you have a preferred playstyle, you will tend to lean towards one or the other. There is certainly a fair bit of content in this game, though I found the number of unique mobs and locations to be quite lacking. The music in-game fits very well. You have these orchestral scores that feel right at home in this bleak landscape and gives you a sense of danger at all times. There are not a huge number of tracks, but they do not grate over time, and the sound effects are equally satisfying. Visually, Manaspark uses very blocky, pixelated art. The quality is not bad, but it isn't the best out there. With so many pixelated games, it's hard to stand out, and this really doesn't. The backgrounds are well drawn, but repeat often, and the lack of mob variety means you are not often seeing new sprites. The effects and spells, on the other hand, do look great. Firing off multiple arrows and launching bombs look and feel really, really good. At $9.99 in the US and £8.99 in the UK, the game is priced quite fairly given its scope. Of course, the porting issues and slow loading times make it hard to justify right now. Overall, Manaspark is a decent dungeon crawling RPG. It has engaging and difficult combat with multiple playable characters and a good skill system with enough progression to keep you wanting to make another run. Unfortunately, it's let down by very slow loading times and, more concerning right now, a major bug that loses all of your progression, and as such, I just cannot recommend it. That said, on the assumption that the critical bug is fixed, it's a fun dungeon run game, one to keep an eye on whether it gets patched and fixed over time. It has been out for a little while now on the PC and it has been improved there, so we do hope that that happens over here. Though I have to say, it is frustrating when so many games are being ported to the Switch that they're just not being done justice. Aside from these issues, this would be a good game, and right now I have to give it a 5.5 out of 10. If you're in desperate need of a dungeon crawler, then you might enjoy Moonlighter, and that video is coming up next. You can click on the left hand side of your screen to check out my review from back in November. Let us know your thoughts on this video down below. I'd love to hear if you've experienced the same issues or not, and if it's your first time here and you haven't already done so, we'd love to have you subscribe for more content like this delivered straight to you. I'm James Zamero and this is SwitchWatch. We'll see you again on the next one.